episode number 172 with Cory Waaland and Carlos Welch. Welcome to the Heads Up Poker Podcast. This is Steve Barton, and thank you for tuning in. We have an extra special treat for you this week. We've got Carlos Welch and Cory Waaland. Right now I'm on with Carlos. Welcome, Carlos. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, Steve. It's a pleasure as always.
Yes. Well, all the listeners want to know Wick and We Hut, which of course stands for Where in the World is Carlos and What is he up to?
I am in Las Vegas, Nevada, preparing to start my epic journey tomorrow of winning every tournament I enter.
I like your mindset. That's good. I think that's going to go right along with what Cory says, think big. That's good.
This is pre-June Carlos.
Pre-June Carlos, okay. We'll see how Carlos is doing in 2 weeks, in a month, and the end of July.
Exactly.
Oh, I love it. Every poker player goes out there with dreams like that of quadrupling his bankroll, and then halfway through it, we'll see where they're at. I've got the same mindset right now. I'm excited. I'll be meeting you out there in about a week and a half. No, less than that. Like 9 days, I think. So I'm excited. You couldn't slap a smile off my face right now. Where are you staying? Are you staying with a friend? Or?
Yeah, I'm staying with Andrew Brocus.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, he got a house out here for the summer, so it'll be me and some of his other students that staying there.
Okay, perfect. Good deal. And what tournaments are you going to start out with?
The first one is going to be the 550, I should say the 5K Survivor at the Win. It's a 550 buy-in, and it basically pays 5K to everybody who cashed. So it's very similar to that 1,000 I maker on Ignition / Bovada.
Okay, cool. So you basically win a table, and because 1 out of 10 people are going to get the 5K, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Right on. Good deal. Yeah, I kind of have my schedule a little bit. Well, I'm keeping it pretty open, but basically I'm going out there. I've hit a couple of other tournaments on 6-4 spades, so my bankroll has increased a little bit to about $7,000. So I'm gonna I can do an average buy-in of about $450 a day, something like that. So some days I'm going to buy into like $600 tournaments. Other days I'm just going to stick with like $200-300. But if I can keep an average buy-in of about $450 a day, then I should be good.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm going to do all summer too.
Cool.
Right around the same price point. Yeah.
Right on. Good. It's exciting. They so are you mainly just going to be playing at the Win, or are you going to branch out to other casinos as well?
The Win, Binion's, and then I think I have one at the Venetian. And as far as the Rio, I'll play the tag team event and hopefully the main event. Okay. But that's pretty much it. Oh no, that's actually not it. I'll also play the satellites to the main, the megas, at the end of June. So that's pretty much all I got to play. All I plan to play at the Rio. Not many bracelet events though.
Okay. What? When is the tag team one? Do you remember?
I can't remember. I think it's like towards the end of June.
Okay.
I feel like it's later this year than it's been.
Yeah, I thought so too. I seem to remember looking, and I'm not going to be able to play that one because I think like day 2 starts after I've left. But yeah, there'll be plenty of others. The Colossus, all that. Well, that'll be fun.
Right.
Right on. Well, how is it staying with Andrew? How long have you been there?
I've been here since Sunday. It's been great. You know, he and I always have a good time. And I was doing my Twitch stream last night, and I kind of had this interesting realization. So I got into town on Sunday, and I've just been hanging with Andrew, talking strategy. It's just having a blast. It's been like 4 days I've been in Vegas having a blast. And while I'm doing my Twitch streams, I've been, just to get a better internet connection, I've been doing those from the van.
Okay.
So I had to like drive and find a good spot. Had to find a good spot, which is basically what I'm doing right now also. And yesterday I was driving and just thinking about like, man, how much I love Vegas. Like, this town is pretty cool, man. Like, I've been in Portland for like 2 months, and I've just enjoyed these last 4 days in Vegas, like the sunshine, hanging out with good friends and talking poker strategy. And while I was driving, I kind of like looked to the left, and I saw like the big high roller Ferris wheel they got, and like the strip. And I thought to myself, like, oh yeah, this place is pretty cool. Oh, I forgot they also have casinos here. Like I was enjoying myself so much at Andrew's house. I haven't been to a casino since I come back. I almost forgot there were casinos here. I hadn't even like considered going to the strip since I've been here, and I still had a great time. So it's going to get even better once I step foot inside the casinos.
Yes. Once you sit down at that green felt battlefield. Right on.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't wait either. I got another, I think, 4 or 5 shifts at work. I'm going to string them all together, and then I'm out. Can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm probably about, I don't know mileage wise. I'll just throw a guess. I'm not going to throw a guess because I wouldn't have a clue. I'll just put it this way. I'm far from the strip, and not many people when they come to Vegas venture as far away from the strip as I am now, but I would encourage people to do so. It's a pretty nice town, even if you're not in a casino.
Yeah. What area is Andrew staying in? Is he down in Henderson, or is he over off of Blue Diamond, or in the north? Or?
It's more to the west. I don't know the name of these areas, but I know it's like far west of the strip.
Okay. Yeah, my folks and my brother and my aunt, they live on that'd be the east end. Like, as you're coming into Vegas, you exit St. Rose Parkway and you drive east for about 5 minutes and they're over there. So it's kind of nice because you're close enough to the strip that you can jump on the freeway and be to just about any casino on the strip in 15 to 18 minutes, depending on traffic, but you're far enough away to where you don't just feel like you're in the glitz and glamour all the time,
Yeah, that's basically how I feel. Like, I haven't seen a single tourist. There's nobody like selling like $5 pictures to take a picture with a Wookiee or whatever the hell they do out there on the strip. That stuff is not what attracts me to Vegas. So it's cool to kind of have a little bit of normalcy to be away from it, but I am looking forward to getting on the felt, like you said.
Good. Who are you playing the tag team with?
Andrew and Killingbird.
Oh, you can do more than one person.
You can do up to 4.
Oh, well, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and we potentially have the 4th member as a famous rapper. So, but not. I say famous. It depends on how old you are. We're old, so he's not famous to us. But I don't know if you met this guy last year, but there's this rapper who goes by the name of Hoodie Allen, which I think is a pretty funny name.
That is good.
Hoodie Allen, he's like, I don't know how to describe him. He's like the Justin Bieber of rap.
Okay.
He may get offended.
The new kid on the block.
He may get offended. Yeah, he may get offended to hearing that, but I'll put it this way: I'm not in his target demographic. But at the same time, he can actually rap though. He can actually rap.
Oh, okay.
So, but he's also a poker player, and I think he's a TPE member. And he was out last year, and of course WSOP gave him a whole lot of attention because he's got a pretty big fan base. And last year he played the tag team event with Mark Herm, Paul Volpe.
Oh, wow.
And one other person I can't remember, but I think Paul Volpe busted the team before Hoodie even got a chance to play.
Okay.
So he's made a major upgrade going from maniacs like Mark Herm to nits like me and Killenberg.
Yeah.
So now he may actually get a chance to actually play. Like, we're probably not going to be busted level 1.
Yeah. Well, considering Paul Volpe and Herm, if he's anything like his competition, then he can play cards. Either that, or he's just really good friends with him, and they just let him in. I don't know. That's quite a team.
Yeah. I think he's actually kind of new to poker though. But, like I said, he's got a pretty big fan base.
Okay.
So a lot of people let him into a lot of things.
Okay.
When you got like over 1 million followers on Twitter, that opens up a lot of doors for you.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, that gives you a little street cred right there.
Exactly.
Let's see. Cory just texted me, so I'm going to go ahead and bring him into the call. We're going to take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, and then we'll talk to Cory Waaland. Tired of playing great poker for 8 hours and then tilting it all away on one hand? Elliot Roe. I will not play a hand of poker unless I listen to that man's voice first. Meditation tapes just before you play. Get in the right mindset so you can focus on poker. Listen to an MP3 before you play. You put it right on your phone, your computer, your tablet. He has MP3s for everything. Live cash, online MTTs, post-game cooldown, the Mindset Booster package, which comes with 5 MP3s. Confidence, motivation, recovery, volume, study booster, the simple volume system. Try it for free. There's no obligation. Listen to his 7-minute tilt buster. It's free from me to you. This is the next step in poker, the Mindset Advantage by Elliot Roe. Use the code HUPOKER, score yourself a discount. All the links are in the show notes. Elliot Roe.
Okay. Yeah, so just now, whenever I was telling you I wanted to go be productive while I was waiting for you to give me a ring, I was just trying to make my bed. That's the extent of me being productive right now. It's still early. This is still early for me. This is very early.
Every little thing counts.
Yeah, well, I read something like it was a couple of years ago. I saw it on Twitter or read it randomly because I really don't read much, so I can't sit here and act like I was reading a book or a magazine or something because I really hate doing that. My brain is just always thinking about so many different things, and I'm so ADD that when I'm reading, I'm thinking about something else, and then I'm like halfway down the page somehow I'm like, wait a second, what did I just read? I don't even know what I just read. And that happens to me all the time, so it has to be short little things. And one time, though, I remember reading that if you start your day making your bed, it kind of triggers your brain to be more productive that day because you're starting out your day completing a very small task. But in your brain's mind, it's like, okay, you just did something. As soon as you woke up, boom, today's going to be a productive day. So it's like a way to kind of jumpstart yourself. And I've been trying to do that. Like whenever I'm even on the road or in the hotel, and granted, I don't do this every time, but I try to at least make my bed or get it straight. Or whenever I'm home for sure, I make my bed at least in the first 10, 20 minutes that I wake up. So, and it just, I find that it really helps me. So it's like a little mental, life hack, I guess you can say.
Interesting. I really want to get into that. First, I want to kind of pump you up a little bit here. You're a TPE instructor. You've got over 70 videos on TPE.
70? Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
You didn't even know that, huh?
70.
We're talking about being productive, bro. I'm going to bro you down here. You got.
I haven't made a video in I feel like over a year because I hardly play online. Mainly I'm a live guy traveling around, and then especially recently getting, or trying to get Think Bank off the ground. I've been doing so much with the YouTube video and Instagram posts and the website. So I really haven't even been able to dedicate time to online. So that kind of just shocks me when I hear 70 because I'm like, holy crap, I haven't even recorded a video in over a year. And then before that, it was a year before my last series. Yep. So man, that's awesome.
Yeah, productive, sir. At the WSOP Circuit Grinder, you've got 7 rings, $750,000 in caches. Like you said, the creator of Think Bank. I listened to all your blunt sessions, your podcast, by the way. They're very good. I think I listened to each one at least 2 or 3 times. Your YouTube channel, Think Bank TV. You're just a rock star when it comes to these circuit grinds.
I gotta, man. Actually, I haven't heard blunt sessions in so long. Like, I guess I'm still getting charged for that fee because I haven't, I literally just thought about that. I'm like, wow, because even a while ago, I took that out of my bio, because you only get like a certain number of characters, and I needed to figure out a way to put Think Pink in there. So I was like, man, I got to sacrifice one of them, and I can't, and I had to actually add the YouTuber part because I recently, the last year became a quote unquote YouTuber. So I had to, so you only have but so much room in there. And I had to take that out because I was like, man, I'm not really a podcaster anymore. I haven't done a podcast in I don't know if you have it in front of you, but it's been probably, at least 2 years since episode 7? Because I think I think
about a year and a half, 2 years, something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, actually, because I do have a lot of voice notes in my phone, and this is just an example of my ADD, like live in action, guys. You're seeing my ADD. I'm thinking about other stuff while you're talking, and and I have a lot of voice notes in my phone from especially recently, just because I've been playing a fair amount, at least. In the last 3 or 4 months, I've played more live tournaments than I have in the last year and a half, combined. Just because of everything I've had going on. My dad's had some health problems, so I just didn't really want to travel too much. But so anyway, I have a lot of voice notes in my phone, and I really yell at myself, and I'm like, you idiot, you shouldn't have triple barreled on that river versus this guy has been so tight. Why did you do? And I'm talking to myself in the note, and then I give an example of what happened, or say 400, 800 big blind, and you did this. And in that way, right now I can't necessarily recall any of these hands, but if I go on my phone, I have all these hands, and I think that'd be cool to bring blunt sessions back, and even just maybe not because all those episodes are either with somebody or they're about a specific tournament. I could just do a compilation of say all the voice notes from my New Orleans trip, and then I can do a podcast about that. I think that'd be a cool idea. But it's I have all these ideas and things that I want to do, and then I'm like, oh wait, there's only 24 hours in the day. It's I have so many things I want to do, but it's really impossible to go 100% in more than one thing. And when I have 5, 6, 7 things going on, it's man, I want to do it all, but all right, you got to hold it back some. Corey. Calm down. You got to focus on
focus. You have to sleep.
Oh, I sleep. I love my sleep. Don't get me wrong. I'm one of those guys that I know some people just DNA and genetically you could. It's like an actual trait of some people that you don't need as much sleep as others. I actually just saw this new Netflix show. I don't know if you it's called Netflix Explained or something. And
yes.
So I don't really watch a lot of TV or for the most part, whenever I'm home, if I'm playing online, then I might have say PokerGo or something on the side, but I really don't watch many shows. I don't I'm not a Game of Thrones guy. I'm not a what is it, Walking Dead or Walking After Dead, whatever it's called. I'm not one of those guys. I don't watch that, especially anything negative, zombies, killing. Nah, I'm good on that. I've seen a couple of them, but it's just, for me, it's not something that I want to utilize my time for. So, there we go, getting on a rant there, and I'm losing my train of thought in the process. But basically, just with everything that I have going on, I just try to use my time wisely, and in certain things, whether it be now with the YouTube channel or anything for Think Pink or a podcast or I'm trying to expand the YouTube channel. So really that's where the focus is now. And, it's all things now. I realized I was trying to not keep Think Pink in a poker box because I don't want it to be a poker brand. Yeah. But I realized at least for the start, I need to kind of use what I'm good at and use what I have some leverage in order to help it grow. So that's why I recently started the vlog section of it, because really for the last couple of years, I do all Snapchat stories. I got friends and family. I got a pretty big, a couple hundred people on Snapchat, maybe 200-300, whatever it is. And people send me messages, Corey, I love your Snapchat, man. I love living vicariously through you. I swear I watch them like a motion picture, and people love it. And I was doing it for them, but they're only there for 24 hours, and then they're gone. Yeah. So now recently I had an epiphany a few months ago, long story short, where I'm like, you know what? No more Snapchat. Instead, I'm just going to do clips whenever I'm on the road, basically a more elaborate version of my Snapchat, and turn it into YouTube videos, but we'll make it a separate section, and it'll be a vlog section. Because I started out there's 30 episodes currently, and it started out with just being inspiring messages of people that I met whenever I'm on the road, and I'm like, hey man, you mind if I turn your story into an episode to help inspire or motivate somebody else? So it's a combination of that, personal stories, as well as motivational rants and stuff. And that's what Think Pink TV was to start. Now it's grown into a vlog. It's about to turn into a food vlog actually too. We're gonna have a few different things, which I don't want to release too much, but I have different ideas to where the name Think Pink TV is going to make sense, because when I first started, it was one type of video. Now I have the original Think Pink TV episodes, which will continue. Then I have Bink moments, which are small little positive things that happen that aren't quite enough to turn into a full episode, but it's still cool enough to share with people. That's Bink Moments. And then I also have the poker vlog, but it's not really even just a poker vlog. It's more like a life on the road of a pro poker player vlog, because it's all that and above. It's like me going out a little bit, some of the food things that I'm eating here and there, helping the homeless. Like, one time I met a guy whenever I was in Baltimore. That was awesome. And I put that in a video. So it's really my life, essentially, and like me living the Think Bink lifestyle. And then I put that out there because I feel like that's the best way to reach people and like show what Think Bink means, because people outside of poker don't know what the word Bink is. And then even if you do know what the word Bink is, people always think it's just, oh yeah, you just hit a king on aces whenever you had pocket kings or something like that. I'm like, no. It has nothing to do with luck. Absolutely nothing to do with luck. And I'm trying to change that stigma, or I don't know if that's the right word, but what people currently think of the word as Bink, I'm trying to turn it into an actual lifestyle and a way of actually living, instead of it just being, a catchphrase. Or like a hashtag.
That's one of the things that I've really learned from you, is that you just have this positive outlook that's contagious. And I think one of the biggest things I've learned from you, honestly, is your voice notes. Holy shit, bro. I now have probably over 100 of them on my phone, and it is so much easier to just log a hand on your phone. You can do it. Once you get good at it, you can do it in about 30 seconds. You can step away from the table, record it, sit back, and you don't miss a hand. Before, I was sitting there like with a little pocketbook and trying to write it down, but then they can see that you're doing that. So it's kind of like oh, this guy must be a pro because he's sitting there writing down the hand that we just played. Whereas when you step away from the table, you could just be talking to someone on the phone real quick, and then you sit down and it doesn't kind of blow your cover. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, but also a secondary thing that happens is not only do they see you taking a note, and like in my opinion, I don't think people would see someone taking a note and think that they're a pro. I think that they would look at them and be like, wait a second, they're probably not that good of a player if they're having to take notes. A pro would just know, or they wouldn't have to take notes. Or I feel like most people who aren't a pro wouldn't look at that as being a pro move. So that's one thing. And now with that said too, whenever you're taking down a note, you're now missing whatever's going on in that moment. So like actually writing it down takes forever. Where like for me, when I first started to do this, I think I mentioned it in one of the episodes, but it's all my brother's idea essentially. So I kind of can't even take credit for it, because whenever I used to realize that I'm making mistakes at the table, and like when I first realized, man, okay, I got to stop thinking about this when I'm actually playing. I got to think about it later. So I can't really remember every little detail whenever you play 100 hands in a 2-hour period, or probably more than that, like way more than that. So anyway, that was all right. I got to take notes of it. So then the way that I think and the way that I approach the game is not from like a theory type of standpoint, at least for the most part. Like recently, I've been starting to learn a little bit more about that, just so I have a better baseline versus like some of the top guys, like I know this summer that I'm going to cross paths with. But for the most part, I play like more of an exploitable, I approach the game as it being a people game, not a card game. So anyway, having said that,
yeah, well, it's like you said, poker is a game of people that you happen to play with a deck of cards.
Yeah, well, you pretty much nailed it right there. But like the way that I approach the game is, it's not a card game. It's a people game that uses cards. Exactly right. And and now with that said, whenever I'm at the table and I'm taking a note, I couldn't just put in, okay, it was 600 big blind, I had 30K, ace queen, I re-raised, etc. For me, I couldn't just put the actual info. I needed to put so much more detail into these notes. So I would sit there and I would be like putting descriptions, like the guy in the red hat with the gold bracelet that about 40 years old from Alabama. Like I would have all this stats in there from each person. So that way, whenever now, whether it be on break or on dinner break or maybe coming back before day 2, when I look at these notes, I needed to be able to visually remember who this note was about. That's how I approach the game. So needless to say, whenever I'm putting that much detail into the notes, it like takes a lot of time. And when it's taking that time, I'm missing out on whatever's happening in the moment. Then there's often times where, say you're in the middle of a note and you want to finish it and you look down, you're like, oh, king, jack, offsuit, whatever, I'll just fold. And then I'm like passing up on spots because because I sit there and I want to finish the note. And that was happening too. So with all that said, all those things that happen whenever I'm sitting there actually typing, looking at my phone, Devin, whenever we were at my first national championship in New Orleans, it was the first to see me play, and he came there and he was on the rail. And I was in the middle of taking one of these long-ass notes because I was at, quote-unquote, the table of death is what they quoted. They had so many good players at this table. And so I'm taking one of these long-ass notes. It's my first 10K buy-in. I'm like a little, like, I guess you could say nervous, but it wasn't really nervous like, oh shit, I don't know what to do. It was like excited nervous because it's my first big buy-in. I'm getting like, my first true test in poker. Like after playing the whole circuit season, I won my first ring that season and stuff, so it was an exciting moment. So with all that said, I'm like taking notes and I'm really, really focused. And then Devin's like, Cory, get off your phone. And I'm like, bro. And then I go up to him and I'm like, yo, I'm not on my phone. Look, I'm taking a note. And I was like showing him as if I had to prove to him that I wasn't lying. Yeah. I showed him the note. And then he's like, dude, just like, take a voice memo on your phone. I'm like, what? What do you mean? He's like, take a voice memo on your phone. And then he shows me on your phone right there. I just got an iPhone fairly recently at that point. And then he shows me. And I'm like, oh, my God, I didn't know you could do that. And then me being me a few years ago, I was more stubborn, much more stubborn then. So I was like, whatever, bro, whatever, okay? And then I kept doing it my way. And then I don't remember exactly when the transition happened, but I remember that gradually I started doing voice notes. And it was all because of Devin. Even though it might not have been immediate, I was like, man, this is so much easier. All right, I can't tell him, though. And then over time, and then over time, I had to give credit where it was due, especially when I started the podcast. I was like, all right, I can't just take credit for this idea. I got to let everybody know it was my brother.
Well, it's like you said, good players learn and great players steal. So you stole that idea, but at least you gave him credit.
Yep. Well, but see, stealing's a little different because it's not like I saw him do a voice note and I was like, "Ooh, what are you doing, bro?" Like, this is an actual idea. So I just had the benefit of being, his brother, and then he had a great idea. Like stealing is if I see someone do a move at the table and I'm like, "Ooh, that was interesting how you just took that line. I'm going to take that," and then you just kind of like take a mental note of it. Or for me, because I know I'd forget, I would take a voice note of it. And if it's something that I really want to remember, I take a voice note of it and then I email it to myself because I'm always doing emails for stuff for ThinkBank or coaching stuff or whatever it may be. And like, so in the email, I'll know that I'll see it. Whereas if it's in my phone, if I don't specifically go back to the voice note app and like check out all the notes that I have, because typically whenever I take a note, I'll put the place that I'm at. So like, for example, NOLA, where I just was, I put NOLA 580, first break mistake with ace jack, something like that. Like, and then I'll put a little overall note of where it was, what tournament it was, and then in general, like, what the actual hand was. And then then obviously you can listen to it at any point. But some of that stuff more so I'll listen to, like, say hypothetically I play a tournament and it's like the middle of the day and I have a couple notes that I took throughout the day. And then I'll get a refresher on those and I'll listen to them on dinner break. So that way on dinner break, okay, all right, I got to remember not to do that versus this guy. Or, okay, I got to remember, oh, yeah, that's right. That's the guy that like hero called me on the river. Say it's a few hours later, but because I take such descriptive notes, that's the time that I'll re-listen to those. Or say I have like 10 notes over the whole day. And like that's a lot, to be honest. Most days I'll have like maybe 3 or 4, like throughout the course of a day, sometimes more, depending on how tough a table is or how deep of a run I'm making. But say I have like 10 from the whole day, I love listening to those notes on the way to the tournament the next day. So now I have like 10 notes, some about 30, 40 seconds, some could be a minute and a half, depending on when I took it. And I listen to all those. And not only does it get you into a good state of mind and like a good, like, okay, let's go crush it, right? After you just hear all the mistakes you just made the day before. Or, on a side note, I do take good voice notes too. Like, man, yo, and then like, say I'll like make a note of a good line that I took versus a specific player, like say Ari Angle. I have several notes on my phone. Anytime I play a hand versus Ari, it's kind of like a mini like, woohoo, got him, type of thing.
Building your confidence,
Well, it's not so much about confidence because I love playing with Ari, but Ari is just an amazing player, so he just naturally puts you in tough spots all the time. Well, excuse me, I don't want to say naturally. He's worked his ass to get like that. But just anytime you're in a hand with him, and like, not just a standard, like he calls my bet pre-flop and then I c-bet and it's over. Like whether it's, say, got down to the river, maybe he check raise and then I 3-bet the flop, something like that is an interesting note versus those kind of players I take more notes of. And those are more of like the good notes, ones that I want to like remember, like, okay, this is what you did. So then down the line, whenever it's inevitable that you play with him again, he's such a good player that he's going to probably remember that kind of stuff too. So you better believe that I'm going to remember that stuff, or at least need to. And a voice note for me is the best way to do it. So I have, notes in my phone, NOLA versus Ari, like literally NOLA versus Ari. And then I know, okay, this is the one versus Ari, this is the one versus Maurice, this is the one versus whoever. So I have notes all specific, or just in general too. But overall, listening to them before going back for a day 2 of the same tournament is great. Even listening to the notes from the day before going to play the next tournament is good. It doesn't even have to be, from the same tournament. It just makes sense, obviously, if you have notes from day 1, listen to those going into day 2, because good chance some of those notes are going to be about someone that you're going to be seeing on, in like 30 minutes whenever you start back.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about? You're the first person that I heard use this term was the down bet. I heard it a few years ago from you. I can't remember if it was on a TPE video or if it was in one of your podcasts. But talk about the down bet.
I mean, that's a real in general thing to say.
Okay, so you raise pre-flop, right? Let's say you raise it to 1,500. The flop comes out, and then you lead out for 500.
Well, see, okay, I'm probably the worst person to do these strategy in general questions with because I'm not a theory type of guy. Like, so the way that I describe this, and anybody who's listening to this, if you've ever gotten coaching by me or if you've ever like kind of talked on the side or if you've ever hit me up on Facebook, I have people that like do that fairly often, which please, I'm not saying open reign to hit me up on Facebook, because I get a lot of messages, but just in general, like I hear this a lot where people will ask me a question. And then just like we were just talking about, I approach poker as a people game. So you can't just give me, all right, so tell me about the down bet here. I'm like, well, what do you like? Who am I using it versus? How many chips do I have? What stage of the tournament is it? Like when you ask me a question like that, I think about 7 other questions on my mind that I'm like, well, I need this other info to give you any type of response. So I'm not that type of guy to ask those kind of questions because of the way that I approach the game. It's not from a theoretical standpoint. A lot of the stuff that I do isn't even really fundamental. Like a lot of the stuff that I do at the table, I'm not going to necessarily teach it to somebody or show it to really anybody because the way that I approach the game, my mouth magic that I have, that's what I call it. So if I have a mouth magic dynamic with someone or in general, people, are having a good time and playing at the table because I want to have a good time. So if I have that happy vibe at the table and stuff, I might be doing stuff that works for me in that moment, but some other, and, I mean this not in a bad way, but some other Joe Schmo, some other normal guy, anybody else other than me, someone else like that, they more than likely aren't going to have that talking vibe or talking dynamic because most people don't feel comfortable doing that. And then if they are trying to talk and they don't feel comfortable, then it comes out a little awkward, and like you can definitely tell those kind of people at the table that are like whenever they have the nuts and they're like trying to make a comment and you're like, what, dude, you just basically told him you had it. Well, like, why'd you even open your mouth? People do that as well. So, with all that said, like I need a lot of detail, a lot of specifics and to give you a reason of why I'm going to do a down bet, So yeah, I guess, I don't know if that gives you an answer, but the down bet in general is the way that I approach the game and like look at tournaments is essentially, if you think of right now, I think of the analogy of if you're trying to win a tournament, right? Think of that as like you're trying to build a house, right? So the equivalent is as soon as that house is done, as soon as you walk into that door, as soon as you can sit on your couch and the house is complete, you are now living in it. That's the equivalent of winning a tournament. Boom. You just accomplished your goal. Making a tournament equals building a house. Okay. So think of that analogy. Mm-hmm. Now, what do you need in order to build that house? You need a bunch of tools, right? You need a lot of tools. And this is all you doing. This is not another company. You're not hiring anybody. This is all you doing, all your own work, AKA putting in the time, studying off the table, all that work you need to do in order to build a house, in order to AKA win a tournament. You need a shitload of tools, right? And I like that we can cuss on here. I didn't know we could do that until I heard you say shit. So, at times I like using those words for like a...
I didn't even know I did it. I guess I do it too often. I don't even hear myself do it.
Okay. All right, so I'll try to hold back.
It's all good. It's all good. I throw the F-bomb out every now and then, so you're in good company.
Well, I love Jesus, but I cuss a little bit, so it happens. It happens. But
we all have our vices. Mine is massage parlors. Yours is the F words.
Oh, massages! Oh my God, I can't wait to get to Vegas and get those massages. I love it. It's like $20 for a full body massage, and you can't beat it. And then you tip them $20, so it's like $40, and then they love you. You're like, oh my God, thank you so much. Yes. $20 tip. They love it. I love it. I actually just had a lady from Happy Feet Massage, Dina. She always follows me, or like every time I'm there the last 4 years. This was the first massage parlor that my friend took me to. $20, and side note, guys, this is not a happy ending massage place. This is like a legit, like you get a massage. They use the hot stones and everything. All right, it's a really good massage. Instead of sitting at the table, I hate getting massaged at the table because I don't play my best. I'm like getting too relaxed and stuff. So like the only time I really get a massage is say it's real early after like maybe a long drive if I just got to a place, or when it's like near the money bubble where everybody's playing real slow. That's the only time I really get a massage. But anyway, I just had her message me. She says, Cory, we're reopening. She like moved locations because they had some ordinance in Vegas, and she sent me a message and she was telling me to make sure you tell all your poker buddies, because I was telling them, and then like she would give me a free massage or so every now and then because she's like, Cory, thank you for the business. And like literally I'm looking at it right now. She like printed up some pictures and stuff of me playing poker. She's like, I got you something, Cory, and she got me this, and then she also got me this like picture in like a little frame, and it says, "Let your smile change the world, not the world change your smile." And then she signed it from Dina, and like she loves poker. She loves like following me. Every time I see her, Cory, you're going to win the main event this year. You're going to win the main event. I'm like, Dina, I'm gonna try. I
love your optimism, sweetheart.
Oh man, yeah. Well, she thinks of it. Well, I don't really know exactly how she thinks of it, because she just thinks like she thinks every year I'm going to win. She has like, eternal optimism, and she always thinks bink, and so do I. But I'm also a realist when it comes, especially something like the main event. Like that's just, we all want to win the main event. That's like everybody's pipe dream, and it's something that's realistic. It's something that everybody has a chance to do if you play it. But it's so many things and hoops and hurdles you got to get through, to obviously win that. But look. So before I forget, because I can't believe that I'm actually remembering where I left off here with this analogy. But what I was saying is, as far as like your goal of winning a tournament, also known as building a house, you need a lot of tools. So right now, on most people's tool belts, right, if they don't play poker a lot, if they have like say a 9-to-5 job, they have a family, they have kids, they just can't dedicate a lot of time to poker, which it takes to be successful. If you're in that category, then right now on your tool belt in this analogy, you probably have a hammer and some nails. You might have like a tape measure and some chalk, like, if you're like, a little bit better than the average player, so you have a couple tools in your tool belt right now, but you can't build a house with only that stuff. You need a lot of other things. You need like some screws, and you need like the little triangle, and you need the leveler, and you need all that stuff, which every time I do this analogy, I'm like, damn, Cory, you really should learn more tools, because I don't really know any other tools that has that. But you get the point. You need a lot of tools to build this house. So with that said, the down bet is just one of the tools on my tool belt, So at the right time versus an opponent in the right situation, right, that's when I'm going to use the down bet. And that's the only way I can really describe it. I can't give you like, I can't even really necessarily think of a hypothetical right now, like in terms of a specific spot, but that's just one of the tools that I use. So if you maybe have an example of a hand that you tried it and it didn't work, or just an example of a hand where you were thinking about it, if you want to bring that up, then maybe I can give you my opinion on it. But that's essentially my best answer, is that it's very specific, but I don't want to be generic and say, oh yeah, it's just very, very table dependent. Because that's like, I feel like just the go-to answer for someone that doesn't want to give you any feedback.
I used it recently. I was in Vegas and I played a tournament 4 or 5 days ago, and I used it when I was looking at the player across from me. I raised, he called, and then I was about to bet, and I looked at his stack, and he had like 3 5,000 chips, and then he had like 400s on top. And so my pre-flop raise was, I believe it was 800 or 900. And then instead of betting, 700 there, what I did was I bet 4, because I was certain he was very weak. And I thought if he had to pull those 400 chips off and then toss in a 5 and get change from the guy next to him and like that, he's much less likely to call than if I just toss out 4 black ones. Then it's a real easy, he doesn't have to think, it's just a quick, I just bet really fast, and then he kind of looked down and he goes, oh, I have exactly that, and he tossed it in without even thinking about it. So that's one. Yeah.
So I'm assuming. Well, yeah, that is a good example. But the only thing with that spot, like sometimes you can kind of level yourself, because if it's gonna call, then he's gonna pick one of those chips. Like it's not that big of a deal. Like, I think it's more of a thing, and that's where I started, because I'm pretty sure I put that in the podcast, or it's in one of my training videos. But like, I used to bet people's stack exactly. Even now, I just kind of do like a roundabout. But I feel like online people have that thing where whenever you see that number, you like see chips, you lose a couple hands, you're like down to 8,600. Naturally, I still subconsciously think like, damn it, all right, I want to get back above starting stack. And in a live setting, though, your way of thinking there, I'm assuming it was the 400 big blind. So really, your effective bet was like 1 big blind. So yeah, in a down bet spot, like while you were talking, my brain was going. I was thinking of a spot. Say there's a button open and you're in the small blind, all right, and you 3-bet a button open. Say there's not really a dynamic there. Maybe you just got moved tables. He had you both have the same amount of chips. He looks like he could be an aggressive type of guy, all right. Just that in general dynamic. Say the guy in the big blind has a normal stack, there's no like shoving or no like squeezing potential, anything like that if you were to flat. So say that's the dynamic. It's like middle stages of a tournament. You're not near the money bubble, nothing like that. He opens, you 3-bet. All right, so let's say he opens to 1,000 at 400 big blind. All right, you 3-bet to 2,500 right here. All right, so technically your raise is 1,500 on top of what he made it. Right on this spot right here. I could down bet. So like on this flop, no matter what the flop really is, like say it's ace high, say you don't have anything, but you just have the betting lead in the hand. So really, regardless of what the flop is, the point here being you 3-bet to 2,500. What I do is now my range of my c-bet amount is whatever the amount was that I raised on top of his open. So 1,500 on up. So a lot of people feel like, okay, well, I made it 25 pre, I have to make it at least 25 or more starting out. I disagree, and I feel like the raise size is actually 1,500. So go from 1,500 on up with whatever it is. If you have a value, so that way it doesn't look super, super weak and like super like, what are you doing? And even sometimes too, for what it's worth, say you flop top set in this type of scenario and you have the betting lead, it actually is going to look probably stronger if you 3-bet and then check a board. Much more likely, elite, and this is in that specifics, or excuse me, in that in general scenario. In more specific scenarios, maybe I do check, maybe because the guy I know is going to blast because he's going to think I have ace king in like more specific scenario. But in general, whenever you 3-bet and then you don't bet, it's going to raise red flags, or at least it should. If it's against more of a fishier opponent, more of a fun type of player, excuse me, I didn't mean to say fish, more of a fun type of player, then those kind of people would be more likely, I think, to. Yeah. So those kind of people will maybe be more likely to think, oh, okay, you just have big picture cards. I'm going to bet to quote unquote see where I stand with my, with my pairs. So in that kind of spot, maybe I'm going to, if I 3-bet, maybe I will check. But point here being, most of the time you're going to continue as the pre-flop aggressor because most of the time you're not going to flop a set, but you're going to probably still want to bet to win the pot. So with that said, betting a smaller amount, like enables you to like double barrel more is basically the point here, because now say you don't flop anything. Say you choose to 3-bet queen jack suited and it comes out 8-3-4, one heart. Right now, if it comes like say a 9 or a 10 or obviously a queen or a jack, like you have no problem with double barreling. But if it also comes any type of heart, or really say like another 8 comes and doesn't really change the texture of the board, there's like several cards that you can choose to double barrel. But instead of check raising to say 25 in that scenario, and then c betting 25 to 3,000, which most people would do, and then having to double barrel 4, 5, 6, 7,000 somewhere around there in order to get it through, that's probably a big part of your stack at that point. So instead, you can size your or you can just bring your sizing down a little bit, starting out from 1,500 in this scenario. C bet 1,500 if he calls. Okay, now you just got to double barrel 3K to 4K. That's several thousand less than you would have to. And this is in the scenario of you not having a hand. If you have a hand, maybe go ahead and bet more if you think that their range fits this board texture. If you think you can get more because of a specific dynamic versus that versus that individual. But all that comes down to the specifics and to the people element of the game. And that's something that if you're not going to give me a specific scenario of a hand, I can't really give you that. Those thoughts, but just in general in that spot, that's an example of like how I would have, the down bet as a tool on my tool belt to be able to use, so, and as a way to stay balanced, you do it both ways right there. See, we're going to be doing that whenever you flop, say, a set and you actually flop a great hand, or if you don't have anything, and it works both ways. The only downside of both sides. Exactly. You got to balance it. And like the only downside of that is in a specific hand, whenever you down bet and maybe you could have got more because the guy actually did have a piece of the board, or maybe he just slow played 10s or jacks whenever you flop a set. And then, I could have gotten extra, X amount. So there are going to be spots where you're going to have to sacrifice some value. But in general, I always tend to go for more of the, for sure value rather than greedy value, because greedy value, when it works out, it's great. But I'd rather just go ahead and get that consistent value, and that, typically tends to have a scaled down sizing because people don't react well to big bets whenever they don't have big hands, and that's just a very simple way to put it. So on the flip side of that, people don't react well to big bets, so bet big whenever you don't have them. Put it in max pressure, you put it all on them essentially, and that's like the adverse effects of that, where again you can be balanced. Bet big with big hands, bet big when you don't have it because people don't respond well, and that all comes down to really the stage of the tournament for the most part. If it's getting closer to the bubble, if you're approaching the final table, you can apply much more pressure, and that's also typically when I choose to bring my opening sizings up, so like more so in the end game when it gets deeper. That's where I'll definitely where I have the 3x tool in my belt. I'll even pop out the 4x sometimes, but it's all very situational. It's all depending on dynamic, what I've been doing, what the table thinks of me. There's a lot to it.
Well, I have a little game for us, and I think this is going to be a lot of fun. But first, I'm going to tell you guys about TournamentPokerEdge.com. You guys can check out the free videos. They have over 20 hours of them. When you join, you can see Cory Waaland's training videos. Like we talked about, he's got 70 of them. When you join, use the code HUP month, HUP quarter, or HUP year. Get your discount. Don't pay the full price. Nobody does that. Okay, guys. This game is called WWCA. And that, of course, stands for, what would Carlos answer?
Okay.
All right. Carlos, you remember this game?
I do remember this game.
Okay. All right, Cory. So what we'll do is I'll read the question. I don't know the answers to any of these. I'll read the question. For the first question, you go first, you answer, and then I'll answer, and then we'll get the real answer from Carlos. And then the second time, then I'll go first, then you go, and we alternate like that.
Okay, so has Carlos already answered these, or is it going to be biased after he hears what we say?
Okay, Carlos, if you could do us a favor here. When I read the question, we'll take a moment. You come up with the answer in your head, and do not change it depending on what we say. Because some of these, as Cory and I go through our thought process, you might be like, oh, I didn't think of that. Okay, well, then this is it. That'll ruin the game. So yeah, just your answer in. And then we'll get the real
just a suggestion for next time. You might want to do this just ahead of time. Just really, you can send him say a voice memo, and then he can send you a voice memo back, and then you can play the voice memo on air. So that way, it's I don't think Carlos is going to be like, all right, you know what, I'm going to change my answer, but I think that would make it more fun. If he actually had it pre-recorded, and then boom, you play it, and we're like, oh, we get to see what he said. So yeah, just a thought. I think for in the future, if you guys are going to make this like a segment, I think that'd be a cool idea.
Oh, that is a great idea. Okay, all right, I'm going to take you up on that. Mike and I already have a game planned for a couple shows later, so I think I'm going to do that.
There you go.
All right, right on. Okay, all right, you ready, Carlos?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Now, how many states has the Knitmobile been in? So both Knitmobiles. We'll call them the same one here.
So, all right. So again, you're asking the question, and I'm answering it in like my answer is going to be what I think Carlos would say.
Exactly. So,
okay.
Whether he actually knows or whatever he thinks, if he thinks it's 7 or if he thinks it's 19 or whatever, he's going to lock in his answer right now, and then you guess, and then I guess.
I got a feeling, though. I'm just throwing this out there, but
okay,
I got a feeling he already knows.
You got it?
I'm counting on the map right now.
Oh, wow. See? All right, well, then never mind. Like my read was going to be Carlos already knew. I felt like he had a map in his car with like a little pin in every one. Like, yep, I've been here. Yep, I've been to Albuquerque. Yep, I've been to Santa Fe. Like, I feel like you would have had that in the car for sure.
You know what?
I thought for sure he'd have a map of the U.S. and he just scratches with a penny, each one like a lottery ticket when he passes through it. But I guess
yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
It's 2018, guys. I have that on Google Maps. It's basically the exact same thing you're saying, though, except more specific to like actual locations I've been in each state. So this is pretty cool.
Well, if the Knitmobile has driven through it, even if it's a quarter of the state and it was 4 miles, it counts.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So now I gotta really know because like this isn't really what he thinks. This is a specific thing if he's counting, right? So can you read the question one more time?
Okay. How many states has the Knitmobile been in? How many different United States?
So right now the visual, guys, is like I've been growing out my little beard hair, so I'm like sitting here rubbing it like I'm deep in thought, like that's what I'm doing right now. So let me think. This is new to me. I'm not used to having hair right here, so this is like I try to take advantage of. Let's see. How many states has the Knitmobile? I think Carlos would say it's been to. Let's just go with 23. Seems fitting.
Okay. Oh, of course. Michael Jordan's number.
Seems fitting.
Damn. God. See, now that I can't remember if he's been to Foxwoods or not because that would add like 5 or 6 states right there. I know he's been from Florida all the way to California. He just got back from Oregon. I have no idea how many states are in between Florida and California. I'm going to go, I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to take the under. I'll go 22.
Wait, is this Price is Right rules? What's going on?
It's the closest.
Okay. All right. Okay. Never mind. I'm just very competitive. I want to make sure I knew the rules here.
Okay. We all are. We're poker players.
Okay. I have the answer, and before you guys even gave your answers, I typed it in chat, and I'm just waiting to hit the enter button.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay, we're ready.
Okay. 18.
Okay. Bam. Okay. Steve won. All right.
Pretty good guess. Pretty good guesses, guys.
We're close.
What the?
Okay, question 2. All right, now, Carlos, this is going to be a yes or no one.
Okay.
And after Cory and I answer, just still say yes or no, because if you say yes, there's going to be a follow-up question. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Okay, I go first on this one. And the question is, has Carlos ever had a pet? Now, I thought a lot about this one because when he was a kid, he could have very easily had, a cat in the neighborhood that came by and he started feeding him. He could have had a fish. He could have. That one's tough.
So
but
really,
I know he doesn't have a pet recently because, he's driving around and he's home free. But there was a period in his life where he was a teacher and, he had a condo and he was established, and it's like, I don't know. I'm going to say yes. At some point in his life, he's had a pet.
Well, I mean, not because you said yes, but I'm going to say no. I had already had that in my head. And then, as you're sitting here talking, I'm like, man, are you trying to talk me into saying yes, too? Because you're like, I know he had this when he was young. I'm like, man, Steve. No, I say no. I say no.
Okay.
I feel like Carlos is like the kind of guy, at least at this point in his life, where he needs to be able to focus on himself, and having a pet would be somewhat of a distraction, even in the smallest way. And even though he might want a pet, he can't have one right now. And maybe it's like a life goal for him down the road, whenever he can buy a house, something like that, maybe. But but I'm going to say no, he hasn't, but I think he will get one in the future if that, counts as any extra points there.
Any bonus points? Okay, Carlos. Yeah. Oh, he has had a pet. Okay.
Wow!
All right. Okay, the follow-up question. Cory, you're going first on this one. This is the bonus round here. Okay? What kind of pet was it?
Kind of pet?
Yeah, so it was a dog, a cat, a fish, a lizard.
Wow, what kind of pet? I guess is there any way, and I guess, so Carlos, don't answer yet, but Steve, can we ask him, is this a recent pet? Because, if he's had a pet means, okay, so now he's had one at some point in his life, but we don't know at what point.
But if we could have had it when he was 4 years old or when he was 20, we have no idea. We know he hasn't had one here in the last 5 years, but...
All right, so, because the obvious choice is a dog, but I don't like doing standard stuff. I don't even play poker standard, so I don't want to guess standard. So let's go, maybe you had, a ferret. I'm going to roll with ferret. You might have had a ferret. One? That's a random one, but it's like I'm already behind here. I got to go for it.
See, I feel like if he had a pet, it was probably the time when he was a teacher and he was in a house.
It's like I know ferret is not the answer. I just want. If it's a ferret, I'm going to shit my pants. Out, really.
I'm going to go with something simple. I'm going to say a fish. All right. What kind of pet was it, Carlos?
Okay. See, this question is I've had many pets,
really?
And so different kinds of animals. So I'll just give you the strangest one.
Okay.
Ferret.
A turtle.
All right, turtle.
Okay.
I've had. Damn, why did I think of that? I had a turtle too.
But I did have a dog also.
Oh, you did.
All right, word.
Yeah.
My turtle's name was Crush. My turtle's name was Crush, like Finding Nemo. I had him for years, right? And then literally for years I had him. And one day, and this was just we were just talking about this at the poker table whenever I was in New Orleans, and now I'm concerned for Crush because I don't know if he's still alive anymore, little guy. I had him for 4 or 5 years probably, right? So he was like a domesticated turtle, if you want to say. And I thought I was doing a good deed because we went to this golf course. I had just gotten into playing golf, and it was I don't really play golf anymore, but it was I just started going to the driving range a lot, and I played my first round of golf at this place. In my first round ever of a real course, I hit an 87. And I was like, and I guess that was good. Like then I was like, man, what the hell? A par is 73 and I shot 12 over or 15, whatever it was. I was like mad at myself. Then when I told some friends, they're like, what? You shot an 87? They're like, dude, that's real. Dude, if you shot an 87 your first time, you should probably get some lessons and like take it serious. So anyway, they would tell me this at the table. And then I told them, I was like, nah, I was like, well, I went there only a couple more times. I actually let my turtle go in like one of the little bodies of water there because it's a cool like little pond right next to one of the water or excuse me, like right next to one of the holes. And when I was moving out of the house, I didn't want to really take the turtle with me. And it was like, I felt like it was time to let him be free, Yeah. I was like, all right, Crush, it's been real. I think it's time for you to go be with your people. So I was thinking of doing him a good deed and letting him go in the water. And that was years ago. And then fast forward now to at the table when I'm telling this story about how I let my turtle go named Crush. They're like, yo, you can't just let a turtle go in water after you domesticate it for 5 years. I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Like, he's not going to know how to catch fish. I'm like, nah, come on. He definitely knows how to catch fish. And then I like told him, I was like, because I used to put goldfish in the tank. And he would like catch the fish in the tank. But then again, it's like a little tank. So, of course, he's going to catch them instead of being in a big pond. So, at this point, I don't know if Crush made it. I don't know if he, like, adapted back to his natural ways. But that was my little story about my turtle. I just thought about it whenever you said it. So, shout out to Crush, man. I hope you're alive.
That's awesome.
Maybe someone else caught him, and he's listening to this right now. Or he will be listening. But, yeah.
Okay.
Crush.
All right. Next question. I'll go first on this one, and then Cory, you're second. Okay, Carlos. This is the scenario. You are house sitting for one of 3 friends. You got to pick one of them, okay? And you're house sitting for them for 1 month, and each one of these friends has a pet. So the deal is, depending on which friend you house sit for, they each have a different pet, and the deal is the pet has to survive when your friend returns, and if the pet survives, he'll give you $1,000. If it dies, you get nothing. Okay, so you got to clean the cage, you got to feed it, water it, etc. Okay, so you got to pick a friend here. The first friend has a hamster. The second friend has a snake, and the third friend has a goldfish. Okay, so you got to keep it for a month. You got to clean the tank or the cage and everything. Pull the animal out, clean it up, put it back in, and it's got to survive for a month. All right, you got your answer locked in.
Wait, so what's the question?
The question
you want to
is,
ask
which
him?
one is he going to pick? Is he going to take care of the hamster for a month, take care of the snake for a month, or take care of the goldfish for a month?
Wow, that was like the hardest question ever for someone with ADD. I'm like trying to pay attention. And I'm trying, and then I'm like, wait, what? All right, so wait, hold on. All right, so what's he getting at?
Okay. I'm gonna say that he's not going to do the goldfish because you can't get those damn things home from the store without them going belly up and dying. So there's no way it's too risky to try to take care of it for a month because they're just too delicate. I'm going to go, it's either going to be a snake or a hamster. I don't know, but what percentage of the population is afraid of snakes? It's probably only 3 or 4%. So hamster's pretty safe, but the snakes last forever and you only got to feed them like once a week or something. I'm going to go hamster.
Yeah, I mean, so do I have to pick something different?
No, you can pick the same one.
Okay.
We'll just push on that one. And
yeah, I mean, it was funny. I mean, I was going to say goldfish because you don't have to do much with it and you don't have to touch it ever. Like a hamster is like rat kind of ish. So I feel like a lot of people don't like rats. And I have a lot of friends that do not like snakes. So I feel like he could be one of those I don't like snakes type of people. I feel like most people don't like snakes, to be honest. So I feel like snakes is like, there's a good chance he wouldn't want to be near that even. And I know me, I don't even like being near snakes. They just carry bad vibes. Ever since back in the day during the Bible days where the little snake came down, I was like, all right, I don't like snakes. I don't like it. So I feel like a lot of people are like that. So we'll take that off. The goldfish, though, you brought up a good point. Like, see, I feel like you kind of were like, trying to talk me into going one way with you, because you did bring up a good point with that.
But did he think of that before he wrote it down? Maybe he's never had a fish, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll just feed it and be done. That's easy."
Well, Cory is playing this like it's not a question game; it's a people game using questions.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I'm rolling hamster.
You're going hamster too. Okay. Carlos? Snake.
Snake.
I did not see that coming.
I'm
Okay.
so bad with this.
What was your reasoning for snake?
Only because I assume that they pretty much take care of themselves. You just throw some dead meat in there, and you're good to go. Fish,
live meat you gotta throw.
They won't eat dead food if they're hungry?
No, they eat like the rat, the little mice, the little white mice you got to give to, and then they like bite the head and wrap it around and then swallow it, and then you see it in their body for like 3 days.
Okay,
it's
that
crazy.
I'm aware of that, but I would strongly be surprised if a snake was hungry and you put a dead rat in there and he wouldn't eat it. I think he would. He's not just gonna look at it like, I wish it was alive, otherwise.
Well, I think it depends though. Like, say for example, it's a dead rat that was like in a freezer because it's been dead for a while. I don't think the snake hunts it because it hunts by like body heat. I'm pretty sure. So like, if you put it in there, it's not gonna even look like food to it. It's gonna be like, what the hell is that? You know, it's just gonna. So I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not really sure, but
see, the problem with this question is I don't know much about animals, and so
that's what makes it so perfect.
See, the one thing I do know about fish is that you can't just like put a bunch of food in there because they'll eat themselves to death.
Oh,
so
yeah,
you
definitely.
gotta you have to systematically do it like every day at a certain time or something. That shit I'm not doing.
Yeah.
So I wanted the most independent of the three. And it seems like snakes are pretty resilient.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
and
I feed them once a week. I think they can go like a month without eating or something. You know.
And you talking about taking them out and washing them? Like, I don't think you have to clean a snake. I've never seen anybody give a snake a bath.
Well, clean the tank. I mean, he's got to poop the mouse out eventually. You got to clean it up. You know.
Yeah, if it's like when it sheds its skin, you gotta, I guess, take that out. That's all, But Steve, look, all right, me and you got to have a little blunt session here real quick.
Okay,
I got to be very
okay.
So that last question was not good. It was not a good question. Okay. Not only was it too long, and it took me forever to try to pay attention to it, but we just had a pet question right before that. You can't do 2 pet questions on a poker podcast. You got to have something else. You got to have. So anyway.
Okay, I got a poker one coming up here.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay, Carlos. This is an either or. Okay. You can either win the main event and never hear another rap song again, or you can never win the main event and you can listen to as much rap as you want. Okay, so you got to choose between rap music and the main event.
I mean, all right, hold on. Oh, we should edit this because this is everybody out there listening to this would be like, shit, all right, I like EDM now. It's like, I mean, really, you got to change it to winning, I don't know, winning something else, like winning a circuit main, I guess, because that's like 200-300K. Because the main event is literally it's 8 million, life changing. You're the champion now. Life's never the same. You could deal with not listening to rap. Something that's more like a couple $100K.
From this point on, every time he turns on the YouTube channel and tries to listen to rap, it's just silent. He can see the mouths moving and he can picture it in his head, but he just can't hear it. But he's the main event champion.
Yeah. Yes, so it's literally kind of torture, or I think it'd even be worse if every rap song you heard was skipping, so you never get to hear a full song. It's just always skipping. You're like, damn it! And it's edited. It's an edited skipping rap song for your whole life. That would be worse. So I think you need to change that to some other amount of money because the main event is just too that's a given. He would definitely pick that. I'm almost certain. I think that would be the question.
You're going main event.
I'm going. He would win the main event and then never listen to rap again. Yes, I think.
Okay, I'm gonna take rap music. I'm gonna say that he'll pick rap music over the main event.
All right.
Carlos,
so wait, so is he typing this or what?
He's typing this in here.
All right, you ready?
But nobody can see it.
I haven't typed it in yet. I mean, I've typed it, but I haven't pressed enter yet.
Okay, press enter. Let's see. I got rap. Corey's got main. Hip hop.
Wow.
Corey.
I'm blown.
Corey underestimates overestimates my need for money. Money
Well, it's not
really.
just yeah, but it's not just the money though, because like, aren't you a professional poker student? So as a professional student, or like, however you describe yourself, and a pro poker player, it should be. And if it's not, it's like, why are you playing poker? In my opinion, like, everybody wants to win the main. You want to be the champion of poker. You want to be not necessarily the best, but you're the champion for that year. It's like, it's the pinnacle of our sport, of our game that we love. And now thinking about it, you're right. I totally forgot your name was Hip Hop Trivia or whatever, like on Twitter, right? Isn't that your Twitter handle? Yeah,
Yep.
so I kind of forgot about that. I should have weighed that in a little bit more. But just in general, like, I thought that was going to be a for sure given. Like, I would have bet a lot of money on that, just knowing you're a poker player. Because we haven't. Well, I mean, I guess in like the hypothetical of it being a skipping edited rap song, I mean, that would be torture every time you heard it. Compared to, I guess, you being known as a champ. But I know for me, I guess I was putting a little bit of myself, I guess, too much into that question, because like, when I think of the main event, that has precedent over anything other than my family. Like, everything, I'm like, yeah, main event, yes, I'll win the main event. Yes.
You overestimated my need for money and underestimated my need for hip hop, and this will make it crystal clear to you. For me, hip hop is like my religion.
I understand.
If you had to make a decision between being a Christian or being a main event champion, that would be an easy decision for you.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, all right, so, well, the way that I was looking at it, and like, I see that analogy, that was a pretty good one with the Christian one, because, I guess I definitely should have put God in there with family. Like, that's, kind of goes hand in hand. But my point here is that the whole main event thing, the way that my brain works is I'm always trying to figure out a solution to the problem, whether it be in a hand, whether it be in life. If I can't figure out how to do the certain text edit on my YouTube video, I'm like, damn it, how do I do that? Like little things, I try to figure it out. Right. So with that said, the main event, not being able to listen to rap music, right? Like the actual music, so it's skipping or it's edited, etc. You win the main event, now you have the leverage to be able to reach out to Jay-Z and get a private show. You can go to a game with him.
But you could never hear it.
Jay-Z. Huh? No,
he could never hear it. As soon as Jay-Z starts rapping, it's just silent.
No, because that wouldn't be music. That would be a private show. Like music, I'm thinking of like a CD or like you can't literally person skip or make a person edited. So I just think of it that way. I'm like, okay, well, you couldn't actually listen to rap music, but there is like blends. There's like EDM rap. There's like, there's like remixes of rap. You can still listen to, I think, just a cappella. That would be fine. Just the actual lyric of it. And for what it's worth, for me, if I had that hypothetical, because I really don't even care about rap music, especially recently. I really actually hate it. Actually, the last several years, there's not really much rap that I listen to. I like in my headphones. Like most of the time I'm at the table, I have Lane 8. Like, I mean, that's my favorite DJ. Or I listen to easy. Like I have a whole playlist that I titled Chill, and it's just like chill, easy listening songs. Most of them don't even have lyrics. It's just like the music and just vibing out. I have one headphone in to where I'm listening / engaging with the table, and then I have another headphone in with just boom, the music going. That's why if you see me playing, I'm always moving around. I'm always getting up from the table, kind of dancing as I'm like shooting a little trash into the basketball, or me shooting a piece of trash into the trash can as it's basketball. Like I love doing that, and that's just also too because I can't sit still for too long. But just in general, like that's how I was thinking of it. I was all right. We can't listen to music. There's a way around this for sure. We could hang out with Jay-Z. We could do maybe a private show, like maybe for me, I would have the music in my head already from hearing it so much, especially for someone like yourself. If it's like a religion, you could just close your eyes and probably hear the song in your head.
I was thinking that from the other angle. In my mind, I was like, I would gladly take second in the main event.
Oh, there you go.
I don't need to win.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I can take second and listen to rap music.
Exactly.
For what it's worth,
as soon as you get down the heads up, you just throw it.
Yep.
That's it. I'm done. I got it. Wow.
Okay. Got another one here, Cory. You're going to have to focus for this one. There's a little bit of okay.
Oh shit.
Okay. There's two things we know about Carlos. Two things we know about Carlos. One is he doesn't want children. And number two is he never wants to get bit by a deadly snake. Okay, so option one is Carlos, you're a camp counselor at an overnight boys camp for 3 weeks, ages 5 to 11, where they lovingly refer to you as Uncle Carlos. Okay, that's option one, camp counselor. Option two.
Hold it together, Corey. Hold it together, Corey. Hold it together, Corey. Hold it together.
Option 2. You get a major snake bite where odds of survival are 99.7% if treated within 30 minutes, so says Google. And Google Maps has you at exactly 33 minutes with traffic to the nearest hospital.
I don't even have ADHD.
I'm gone.
I don't even have ADHD. Even I can't follow this shit.
Steve, I'm gone.
You got to summarize.
Camp counselor or major snake bite? Let's see who goes first. Oh, I go first.
But we know he can never have. All right, but we know he doesn't ever want to have kids.
Yes.
But okay, yeah. All right, wait. So I go first here.
I go first.
Okay.
Major snake bite or camp counselor?
Okay, remind me one little part about the snake bite. Is the snake bite certain death?
No. Snake bite, your odds of survival are extremely good if treated within 33 minutes, but treated within 30 minutes, but you're 33 minutes from the nearest hospital. So if you're 99.7 at 30 minutes, maybe you're cranking down to 99.1 at 33, and then by the time you get in there, I don't know. We'll do the fuzzy math there. Okay?
Got it.
So 3 out of 1,000 people will die from this in 30 minutes.
Steve.
Yes, sir.
You're kind of blowing it with these questions, bro. You're blowing it. See, people out there might have fast forwarded it and be like, I can't deal with this again. I'm just gonna fast forward. No, it's all right though. For what it's worth, yes, and I'm going camp counselor also, especially with the whole being 30. Like if you would have said you were 23 minutes away from the nearest hospital, so you had some wiggle room there. He had he might not die. He had at least a decent few minute shot if you don't hit traffic or if you don't get pulled over or some shit. So if you would have said that, I feel like there's a better chance that he's not going to pick camp counselor. But even with that said, he has to go through the pain of a snake bite, the whole crazy, I'm about to die, get me to the hospital. He has to go through that, there's a lot of bad things with the snake bite. Camp counselor, just because he doesn't ever want to have kids doesn't mean he doesn't like kids. It just means he doesn't ever want to have it and have to be tied down to taking care of it and raising it, etc. So, and even if he doesn't like kids, when you look at the alternative of getting bit or having to deal with kids and you're getting paid and you get to chill at a camp for a few weeks, he's picking camp all day. I bet my life that this is the one question I'm going to get right. Let's go. Let's go.
Carlos?
Steve, did you already pick?
I picked camp counselor as well.
Okay. Only thing I need to know.
If you say snake bite, I'm literally ending the call right now.
How many megabits per second does the internet at this camp get?
It's that close. It's
not that close. It's camp counselor.
Cory, counselor, aka Uncle Carlos.
Cory nailed it. It's not that I don't like kids. I just don't want to be responsible for one. That's just too big of a job for me. Yeah. But I don't want to be Father Carlos, but I don't mind being Uncle. I don't mind being Uncle Carlos, because when the hard work comes, I can just give them back to the ones that made them.
Yes. Right on. Well, I got a couple of strategy hands here.
Does anybody else ever have the Jeopardy theme in your head whenever you're waiting for something to happen, like someone to act? It's weird. Literally right now, I have that theme in my head. Man.
Okay, here it is. Okay, this hand is brought to you by 64spades.com. You can play online and get your rakeback. I play there all the time. I love the 5 p.m. daily. The last 3 dailies I played there, I've won 2 of them and come in second. So I love this site. They've got rebuys, double rebuys, add-ons. I just sit back, I wait for a big hand, and these guys will stack off with 6 high. I'm not kidding. It's the easiest site I've ever played at. Get your rake back by using the code HUPOKER. Put it in all caps, and I will see you there. Okay, this hand, gentlemen, blind levels are 75, 150. We've got Jack under the gun. And what's your guys' sizing here?
Well, again, this is 2 in general, but I guess as just an overall answer, I'd be going probably 400 to 500 here. I mean, probably 5 with a premium hand like this, especially in the earlier levels. Most people are playing sticky when they're deep stacks. So like it doesn't matter if you make it 400 or you make it 1,000. If they have a hand that they want to see C3 with, they're going to see it. And that's at like places like Cherokee, New Orleans is that kind of place. Florida is that kind of place. There's like certain areas that you go play because of the nature of the in general type of people that play there. So like Florida, a lot of retired people, a lot of money, a lot of people that don't care about money. New Orleans, same type of thing. Really, really gambly there. I'm assuming because of it's more touristy and there's a lot of alcohol and people are drinking a lot. So in general, places like that, and then Cherokee too. It's like 2007 poker there. I love it there. So there's like certain places, those are the ones that just come to mind where it doesn't matter what you make it pre-flop, especially pre-ante. People are seeing 3, if they want to see it. So I typically go bigger, like 400 to 500 isn't that much bigger of a difference, but I could even go 600 here or something, with Jack, and be fine. And it's also better.
This one's online. This one's online.
Oh, online. Okay. I thought, all right. See, every hand that I hear, like really, I always kind of translate it into a live setting. So I'm thinking of what it's going to be like at the table. That's just how my brain works most of the time whenever I hear a hand. So yeah. So online, probably 450. Like, I typically go 3x up until about the 200 big blind whenever the antes kick in and stuff online. So that's typically what I do as far as open size.
What do you think, Earl?
I would do the same thing for similar reasons, but I'm kind of like Cory. Most of my play is on Bovada, which is also, it may be more like 2008 poker. So definitely soft feels. And whenever I hear a hand, I think about that. So in the tougher feel, I may go a little bit smaller, but here I like 450.
Okay. All right. I go a little bit small. I make it 388. And then 9-handed, we get a couple of calls.
Is there a reason why you make it 88? Is that just like a random amount, or like is there a reason why you did that?
I just kind of do the random amounts. I don't know why. Instead of betting 400, I'm more likely to bet 388 or 399 or 411 than I am to type 400. And I don't know why I do that, but I've just always done it. And there are little moments where instead of betting 1200, I'll bet 1, 2, 3, 4. And I think that's just kind of like a game flow kind of thing. If I've got a dynamic with a guy that, I got the flush on the river and I can tell he's kind of steaming, then I'll bet something like 2, 3, 4, 5 instead of, 2,200, or 2,000 or 2,500. Just, it'll be like a little needling type thing, but,
okay.
Yeah. Anyhow.
I was just curious what your reasoning was there, because like for me, depending on if you're playing tables, like if you're playing even anything more than really 2 or 3 tables, if you're playing that, it just takes more time. Like if you're going to bet 388, you might as well bet 400. You can just do it at the click of a button instead of having to type it out, and it just takes a little bit less time. And like for me, it's more effective, I feel like, for me. Now, at times, if I'm down to 1 or 2 tables, I like typing in the amount because it makes it feel like more of a live setting, I guess you can say. Like, kind of like in live poker, you're holding your chips and you're throwing it in. I feel like it's similar, but it's an online version whenever you're typing in the amount. It's like, you get to custom put in your bets instead of only having to use a little slider bar or having to click the half pot or third pot button on the site, depending on what you're playing on. So it makes it feel more in tune. And I guess the way you described it, more of like a game flow feel, but after you're playing, say like an 8-10 hour day, it really kind of gets a little frustrating having to constantly type it in. I'd rather just click and then I kind of just go to using the mouse. But okay. I know what you mean. It's just at times, like say for example, you're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, and I guess the way you described it, it's got to be a certain dynamic or something with an opponent. But any amount more that you're making it, that a smaller amount would accomplish the same thing. And this is saying that you don't have the hand, then you're wasting chips. And like the way that I describe it to my students is like, think of it as like you have like an imaginary little chest at the bottom right of your screen. And any time that you say C-bet half pot and then someone check raises you and you have to fold, when third pot would have did the exact same thing. And now you just wasted essentially all those chips. So in those times, like say there's 2,000 in the pot, you C-bet 1,000, but 600 would have worked and accomplished the exact same thing. Now you just wasted about 400 chips right there. Those 400 chips will go into the little chip chest, right? Now imagine what that chip chest is like throughout the stage of the tournament, more so in the end game, whenever you have 400 there, 300 there. So like it's not too big of a deal in each of the hands because it's only a few hundred chips. But those few hundred chips add up to a lot of big blinds at the end, to where now if you would have just trimmed your sizing here and there in some of these spots and picked the sizing that would have still accomplished the same thing, but for less. Now imagine all those chips that you save and how that builds up. It's like a snowball effect.
Yeah.
So now in the end game, whenever you're going on with 5 big blinds, if you would have did your sizing more correctly and like trimmed it down some in those spots, now you have 10 big blinds. Now maybe the guy folds and like doesn't call you with the queen 7 and bust you, because now you have more fold equity. That's just like real specific hypothetical, but that's an example of why it's so important to get bet sizing down. And like for me, if you're gonna make it 388, just make it 350. The extra 33, it doesn't really do shit. If you're make it more, make it a full 3x. Don't go 388. Make it 450, or go down to to min, because really that extra amount isn't doing anything.
That's a really good analogy with the chip chest. I like that a lot.
You're welcome.
I'm going to use that. Thank you, sir. Okay. I make it 388. So from UTG, I make it 388. UTG 1 calls 388. Middle position calls 388. Folds around to the big blind, and he makes it 1076.
Okay.
And it's back
when
on
you said
us.
10, when you said 10, my first thought was like 10,000 something.
Oh,
and I was like, you sure this isn't Bovada? Okay.
You said the big blind raises to this?
The big blind raises to this, yeah. So we made it 388. We get 2 callers, folds around to the big blind, and he 3 bets to almost 1,100.
Okay, so what's your question? Like, is there a question, or are you just trying to get our opinion?
What do we do here? The notes I have on the big blind, I played with him a fair amount. The notes say blind versus blind, defended with king 9 off in the big blind for 3.2 bigs from hero small blind. So that doesn't seem too odd. But then another one I got here says limp folded early position to a 6 big blind shove when he had 30 big blinds. So that seemed pretty weak to me, that he limp folded from early position to a 6 BB shove.
No, I take that. Yeah. So from those 2 notes that you gave me right there, even though they seem kind of like nothing, they actually tell me that he's probably more of a thinker, thinking type of player. In general, I would think that more of a thinker type, at least. If he's not a thinker, high level thinker, he's at least an aware type. And aware meaning if he's going to limp an early position and fold to a 6 big blind shove, he probably realized that there were shove stacks. And I'm assuming if there's a 6 big blind guy, then there probably was another 10 or 11 big blind stacks somewhere back there. There's probably more than one shove stack. Point being. So with that said, that's probably why he limped, because he didn't want to raise and then be committed, or raise knowing he has to fold. Say he has suited connectors, small pair, ace-x suited, something like that. So that tells me he's at least aware. He might not be a good thinker. Going back to this hand, or excuse me, before getting into this hand, his sizing is super, super nutted and super terrible with whatever he has. If he has aces, that's a terrible sizing to make it 1,086. So having said that, he doesn't seem like he's a good player, because he shouldn't be making it 1,086 with literally any hand right there. So if he's an aware player but not a good player, then that hand right there says a lot. The fact that he limp folded right there, so even though it doesn't seem relevant, it kind of is in terms of how this person probably views the game. So
another note I have on him here is I wrote weak passive. So I don't know what I saw that made me think that, but there's...
you saw him limp fold to a 6 big blind shove and then immediately labeled him as weak passive after probably one hand. So, unless there was something else that you're just not remembering, but if you have that note, you probably were just quick to judge a book by its cover and say, oh, he's just real passive. He just limp folded to 6 bigs? That's terrible. When really, no, I have that, I have that tool on my tool belt also. Sometimes you want to see C3, and whenever you limp with shove stacks, it actually makes your hand look a little bit stronger. And so most of the time it's going to get folded around, and you're going to be able to see 3, especially if you hadn't done it a lot, right? So then in the case of there being a short stack there, and then that short stack shoves whenever you limp and it looks strong, that tells you a lot about his hand range right there. And it's also sometimes good to keep a short stack to your left, because it makes the people to your right play a little bit more straightforward, because they don't want to get it in with a shorty. So it means they're not going to be opening as light. So sometimes it's kind of like protection to keep the shorty to your left, and I don't mind giving him a big blind if I have 30 of them. So you can't be quick to judge somebody right there just because you saw them limp fold right there.
Okay.
That there's a lot more to that than just what it seems.
Okay. So what are you guys doing with jacks here?
Carlos, you want to start?
I'm calling.
You calling? Okay. Cory?
So yeah, all right. So I'm doing the same, and I'll elaborate on why. When you make it 388 and the guy makes it 1,086, you already have like, what is that, like 7-1 or something absurd to call. Not to mention the implied odds of at least one or the other two guys behind you calling. I'm pretty certain when you call the 600 more, unless the guy who originally flatted you, unless he was happened to be getting tricky with a really big hand, unless he back raises, everybody's calling. So now it's going 4 ways to a flop, but for what it's worth, I'm only set mining. I do not like jacks in this spot. I'm in the middle of everybody, so I'm calling and purely set mining. Or since you are kind of deep, if it comes like say 8, 9, 10, something like that, obviously I'm not folding. 10 queen king, I'm not folding, stuff like that. So I'm not purely set mining, but I'm basically, if I don't flop any value or any extra equity, I'm gone. And I know that ahead of time. As soon as I choose to call that other 600 or whatever it is, I already know that that's my plan. And like that's how my brain works. Is I always tend to think at least one or two moves ahead. Now it's hard to think of a whole bunch of different flop textures in your head. Okay, I'm going to do this. If this flop comes out, I'm going to do this. If this flop comes out, it's hard to kind of think about that. So I just basically call, and I know that I'm going to reevaluate on the flop. But I also know if it doesn't come, like I just said, 8, 9, 10, 10 queen king, something like that, I'm going to be folding to any more bets. And that's because of how nutted it is. Whenever someone he basically min raise. He basically clicks it back plus some, versus 3 people, and he's out of position. That screams aces to me. It screams aces or it screams an accidental misclick, depending on how fast he did it. It's one or the other. I'm going to lean towards it being a very strong hand right there.
Okay.
So yeah, but I'm never folding though, because you're getting such great odds, especially with the implied odds, and you have position on the guy for what it's worth. But you just got to know ahead of time you are letting it go if the board doesn't come good. Even if the board comes like 6-7-2. You got to understand that this was my plan, and I'm sticking to that plan. I don't ever think this guy's clicking it back 3-betting versus 3 people out of position with 10s or lower. I don't think that's ever something someone's doing, in my opinion, in that spot, and that's what I would be thinking going into the flop.
Okay. I end up folding, and my reasoning was kind of what you said, Cory, that I thought he was really nutted there, and I didn't even think of that. You got a really good point. Is that basically look at it like you're set mining, because when I folded, the other 2 guys called, so I could have gone 4-way to the flop, and I think in most scenarios there, at least one of them is calling, and that I think you're right. You can set mine there. Yeah, you get a flop.
Yeah,
like
if I had
8, 9, 10.
Yeah, if I had ace queen, ace jack, something like that, I'm probably folding unless it's suited, and then I'll peel one, see C3, and reevaluate. Because when you have it like say ace queen suited exactly, that's the kind of hand that you're blocking aces and queens in that spot. Doesn't mean he can't still have it, but he also would play kings this way. So ace queen suited, you're not in as bad a shape as you would think that you are in like jacks. But even then, though, only ace like ace queen off, I'm folding. Ace jack off, like all those other hands that I could be dominated, I'm folding, even though I have great odds. But specifically a pair, because you know what you need to hit, and you know the scenario that you're in, and you could also know, or at least can assume that one or both of people are going to be calling you behind. So now you're going to have like essentially, say you're the last guy to go, you have like 10-1 or something on a call right here, which never ever should be folding anything, right? With those kind of odds. Okay. So as played, though, you folded. I guess you would have flopped the set, and that's why we're talking about it?
No, the flop came down queen 4-2 or something.
Oh, okay.
He c-bet, both the guys folded, and that was it. But I wasn't in the moment, I thought, oh, man, this is such a good fold. But now that I bring it up on the podcast, I realized that it actually was not.
Yeah, even with deuces, you can call there.
Yep,
you're literally
exactly.
you're literally only set mining, and you have to look at the fact that you're putting in like maybe another 700. And one of the I guess general rules I'll look at is if I can get 10-1 implied if I hit, so I'm putting in 7. If I can get back 7K if I hit, then that's at least break even for a set. And
8-1.
Yeah, but I want some cushion there, because I'm not always going to stack the guy every time I hit a set. And most of it's already in there, especially when you count the fact that the people behind us are going to call. So there's going to be like 4K in the middle, and it's not going to be hard to get like another 3K in the middle. Yeah. That's basically a C-bet. Yeah, so yeah, exactly. You can do this. You can call.
So you might not have the correct, or so like I guess in your opinion, then there, Carlos, you're saying that even though you don't have the correct odds pre-flop of like what you want, the full 10-1, you know that by the time it gets in, if you flop a set, you will have that by then. Is that? I mean
implied odds. So I'm looking at 10-1 in terms of how many chips he has behind in his stack. So if I hit my set, I'm gonna get basically what I'm saying. If the guy who raised only had like 3K, now I can't get another 7K out of him. So if he's deeper than 7K, then it's a decent set minus spot.
Okay, all right. Well,
yeah,
I get what you're saying. I just wanted to reiterate that because it's like for me, like that's what I'm going for. Is like technically the rule is if you have or if you're trying to set mine, it should always be at least 30 to 40 big blinds deep. If you're going to be able to set mines, that way it's worth it whenever you hit it. Like you don't want to set mine versus someone that only has 8 big blinds behind because then you're only going to get 8 big blinds more, after that. Right. So, it's got to be worth it with their chips behind. I was just making sure that we were on the same page as far as it's not the amount that you're calling pre-flop to hit. It's what you can stand to win as the hand progresses. It's not just the amount pre. So, right. And that's something that like some people, really get mixed up right there. And I just wanted to kind of put that out there. And then also hand. So like Carlos, what would you do if you had like ace queen off? What would you do in that spot?
This is a spot where I'm either gonna four bet or fold depending on what I think about this guy, and based on what I know about him, I'm not four betting. So I'm probably just folding that. That hand doesn't have the same implied odds post flop. In fact,
as a pair.
In fact, it has reverse implied odds.
Oh, absolutely. Because then you hit, and now you're forced to continue, and you could already be dominated if he has, like, say, ace king.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's like in this spot, my only hand that I'd be continuing with when deep with implied odds is ace X suited, like ace deuce through ace 5 specifically, not eight, like ace 6, ace 7, ace 8. I'm probably not even opening to be honest in early position. Ace 9 suited plus is where I'll be starting to open right there. So anyway, ace deuce through ace 5 with those implied odds, I'll be calling suited, and then any pair. I feel like maybe like the 8-9 suited, the 6-7 suited sometimes as well, because that your hand is live, especially if you're facing a guy with this type of range whenever he's just when he's basically clicking it back from the big blind. You're going to need a hand like basically you got to think, okay, if he has aces, what kind of hand do I have a decent shot with? All right, 5-6 suited in there, 6-7 suited in there, 8-9 suited in there.
Exactly.
X suited maybe not is like ideal, but you're going for at least the flush draw. If you don't hit anything like that of the such, you're gone. You can flop a wheel sometimes. Poker's crazy. Some crazy stuff could happen whenever. And then when you have the implied odds, that's where the math part of it comes in, and it should be no brainer for certain hands. But you just got to make sure you're choosing the correct hands. Because you don't want to be in there like, well, I got 10-1, ace jack off, and then you flop a jack, and then you stack off with top pair. But I had top pair. Well, you shouldn't have been in there pre-flop, silly. What are you doing?
And see, and this is what happened with Steve here, I think. Like, Steve put the guy on aces, and he didn't want to continue because he was dominated. But that's kind of like a default way of trying to protect yourself from paying off too much post-flop. But like Cory said, even if the guy has aces, if I saw his hand and he had aces, I'm still calling with the intention of set mining. Like, when I flop an overpair here, I'm not going broke. Like, there's a difference between absolute value of a hand and relative value. Jacks or overpairs in general seems like a pretty good hand, but not one this small in a 4-way pot versus a guy that is screaming strength.
Yeah. Okay. Good point. Thank you, guys. Let's see. I think that's about it. Oh, when are you going to be in Vegas, Cory?
I think like that's actually what I was trying to figure out today a little bit ago. I think I'm gonna get there like on the 5th or the 6th. It's like the last flight of the 1100 3.5 milli at Venetian. That seems like it's going to be a really good tournament. I don't know if you guys have seen it though yet. Like, one of my friends sent me a picture yesterday, and it looks like you're like in a factory or like a.
I saw that too.
Yeah, like pleasant to play poker there. And apparently they don't have chargers in the tables, and it's it's really, really big, but it's not like lush. The only plus side is that I hated playing at Venetian because I always get a cigarette smoke in that area. I hated that. So I guess in this room, they're at the Sands Convention Center. There's no smoking allowed in there. So I'll be able to sacrifice like the lush environment of playing in the Venetian poker room because they did have nice chairs. I do love the chargers at the table, but that smoke, man, I hate it. So I'm looking forward to it. But anyway, I'll be there the 5th or the 6th, and I always get a one-way flight because you never know what happens in the summertime. So instead of having a set date.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll be out there the 5th or the 6th more than likely. Like originally I was going to wait until after Father's Day. And this is me thinking that Father's Day was a June 8th or 9th. For some reason, I think I was mixing it up with like the date for Mother's Day, and I was thinking it was 8th or 9th.
13th?
It's the 17th.
Oh, 17th.
So like,
okay.
yeah. So like, my dad hasn't been doing too well the last couple of years. I wanted to spend Father's Day with him because I'm always gone. And then when I looked, I was like, oh, Pops. I didn't realize it's the 17th, Pops. I was like, all right, I'm gonna come hang out with you for a couple of days now. I think I'm gonna go there on the 5th. He's like, all right, Cory, go bink it.
We'll do our Father's Day 2 weeks early.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I'll be out there next week, and then
cool.
And then the rest is to be determined.
Right on, brother. Well, I'll be out there June 8th through June 28th, so I'm sure we'll meet up. I don't know when the TPE meetup is yet, but I'll probably see you there.
I have no idea when the TPE meetup is, but I'll be out there. I don't know if you ever do like a live show or a live podcast, but I'm down if Carlos is around. We could all get together, maybe do like part 2 of this, or
Perfect.
or like do like a random summer update or something.
Yes, yeah, we should do that after we've been there for about a week or so and see how everyone's running.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as long the thing is, whenever I go out there, it's really like now it worked out this week because I'm home, and that's why whenever I saw someone on Twitter say they wanted to get me on the podcast, I was like, yo, we could do it this week, because I knew I was gonna have time. And then when I go to Vegas, it's all a matter of like how the tournament's going. I could be playing till 2 a.m. one night, or I could be done at 3 p.m. And so and poker tournaments are like the priority out there. So I don't want to be like, okay, I got to schedule this. We got to do the interview because I want to just be able to fully focus, And with everything else I have going on between ThinkBank and the up and coming stuff with it and doing the video edits and everything, it's like, all right, Cory, you got to like last year, literally, I learned my lesson when I'm sitting at the table doing the designs and I'm doing all this stuff and sending out emails and shirt stuff and orders, all that. And I'm like, I'm like literally going 46% right now at the poker table. Like I'm not even near 100%, and So this summer I'm going to change that. I'm not going to even use my phone at the table. I'm making sure I'm doing everything before or after. When I'm at the table, it's business. And that's something I've never really done in the past. And I'm going to do it this summer. And I think that's going to be the difference maker.
Good deal.
Let's
thank you guys for coming on. I want to throw out a thank you to Ian Anderson on Twitter. He kind of got the ball rolling on this.
Ian, what's up, brother?
Yes. Thank you, sir. If you guys want to get anything from Cory, you can just Google ThinkBink TV. That'll take you straight there, or go to ithinkbink.com. You can also hit up his Twitter, and it's @Wild Waaland, and that's Waaland with 2 A's. Carlos, if you want to get in touch with him for coaching, you can click on the link in the show notes, or go to headsuppoker.poker, click on the Circle of Trust, and we have all Carlos's links right there. Thank you for tuning in, and here is your weekly motivational speech.
Here's the key on this. Don't major in minor things. If you take up major time to do minor things, I'm telling you, you'll be behind the curve constantly. Here's what we learn in sales training. What's major time and what's minor time? Here's minor time, thinking about prospects. Here's minor time, making lists of prospects. Here's minor time, keeping books on prospects. Here's minor time, going to see the prospect. Here's minor time, evaluating the prospect after you've been there. That's all minor time. Here's major time, in the presence of the prospect. That's major time. And if you took a look, if you're in sales and you took a look at a week, you'd say, my gosh, I'm spending 90% of my time on the minor stuff and so little time on the major stuff in the presence of. How many hours in the presence of in my day? How many hours in the presence of during my sales week? Because the time that really counts is in the presence of the prospect. Majors and minors. Here's another key time management essential. Don't mistake movement for achievement. It's easy to get faked out by being busy. Guy comes home at night all exhausted, falls in the chair and says, oh, I've been going. Here's the big question. Doing what? It's not the going. Some people are going, and they're doing figure eights. I mean, their progress is small. So don't mistake movement for achievement.